the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Bissonnette.
How's that?
Biz, how are you, buddy? How you doing?
What's up, boys? Can you guys hear me? I'm all good here.
You're good.
Yeah, we got you. How you
Awesome.
been, man? What was your reaction to that game last night?
Little bit of a delay here on my middle screen, but I'll just look at this one. But brutal. It looked brutal. I agree. I was listening to you guys before I hopped on, and if you go down Carlo, Tanev, and OEL, you might be calling up Rosie to play D. Like at that point. And so,
last thing they need.
Just keep it simple, right? But no, obviously good news there. Sucks, right? Because you go back to that Washington game they were up to, this one they were up to, especially against a team like San Jose. Nice to get the point, but oh man, it would have been nice to keep that momentum going that they've been gaining over the last 5-6 games.
Yeah, we were talking about the power play before you got on. Obviously, pretty nice to see Nylander to Matthews, him shoot, but like how detrimental is it to this team? I don't think it's like really talked about enough. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, their power play is shit and whatever, maybe they'll get the next one. But like, it's disgusting how bad they have been, what their numbers are, and like how big of a detriment is that to this team to have that much skill and have no power play to speak of?
Yeah, I guess it was, the fact that they were going with the 5 forwards and like that late in the season, like still trying things where things weren't working. But I was also listening before I hopped on here. Like you said, like when you have a good power play, you can play like below average hockey some nights, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the win column. That's where they're not relieving a lot of their 5-on-5 pressure, right? Like, and all of a sudden you start seeing a little bit more contributions from other guys outside the big guys. Like that third line's been awesome with this Dakota Joshua, McMatthews, and the other boys. But yeah, it's a bit of a killer, and the fact that we're this late into the season and it's still not figured out. It's just like it's Rosie, it just sucks the life because like it's the top guys, right? So then they're feeling the more added pressure 5-on-5, and you can also just feel it weighing on them from over the course of at least a 30 game start to the season. So it sucks. It's not alleviating a lot of their pressure, but they're gonna have to bump and grind, boys. Like this is a team that's just gonna have to get everybody healthy on the back end at the right time, clicking. We know that they have the goaltending, especially if it stays healthy, and then just hope the power play and the offense is clicking by the time playoffs rolls around, if that's even a thing.
Yeah, you're right, Biz. It's going to be a grind all season long, and we're a bit frustrated by the conclusion of that game, and I think some wind out of the sails, obviously, when OEL goes down. But what was your reaction, your level of frustration, just seeing the way the tying goal went in, the OT winner, specifically from some of the big boys like Nylander and Matthews? I think they just need more of those guys in moments like that.
Okay, so like, I guess if we're just going to have the conversation, let's have it. Like
we are.
People were a little bit upset, I guess, on the back check for Matthews on that OT winner, right? Like, I don't know, man. These guys are playing a lot of hockey. Like, you guys probably watch even a little bit more than me. Like, does he look like he's 100% to you guys? Matthews?
He's not. Like, have you seen that shit on Twitter? It's like highlight reels of Matthews from the past, and it's like a 10-minute montage of him like ripping like 40 goals. It's so dynamic, and you forget. It's like, oh my God, he used to be filthy, and now he's so many notches below that, and it's going on like a year and a half of that, and it goes back to going to Germany. Like, the only answer to a guy losing that much mojo, to me, has got to be some kind of ailing injury that just prevents him from doing that dynamic shit. And like, I know he buried one-timer in his favorite spot on the power play last night. That was great to see. But when you see him get chances that he used to just lick his chops in, he's like no look dishing it into traffic. Like, what's going on with the guy that good when he's resorting to that kind of shit?
Yeah, like it's kind of the second guessing himself. And I guess, like you said, like looking back on like the highlight clips, like, and like he was all world then, right? And it just feels like he's lost that pop. He doesn't have that like sheer, just like, break away from a guy, individual efforts and taking over shifts more frequently. And I feel like that's something that I'm not seeing in his game. And that's why I'm like, is he playing at like 80, 85%? But then you also go, like, he's played a lot of hockey over the last like 8 to 10 years, right? Like last night, I think he hit the 22-minute mark. And he had to play, I think it was just under 11 minutes, 5-on-5 against Celebrini. And I know Celebrini's young and he's only in his, second year here. but like he's a cheetah. Like these guys are gazelles out there. So he's got to keep up with him all night long, the way that he skates and that he plays. And then, you're playing every other night, and then he played a total of 22 minutes. And then in that last shift in the overtime, I believe like he was kind of caught out there considering how much he played. I think he hit the 52-second mark. So he's at the end of his shift trying to back check there. So I don't know. He just doesn't look 100% to me. He doesn't look like he's his full dominant self. But I mean, I never had to play, first line center and go against these difficult matchups night in, night out, where if you are going through a little bit of a dip, there's no hiding. Like you're the guy. You got paid all the money. There was no hiding in that situation. So would I like to see him get back to where he was? Absolutely. In the meantime, it's also going to take efforts from everybody else in a collective body of work. So, I'm not going to get frustrated about it. I'm just going to hope by the time that the end of the season runs around that he's clicking on all cylinders. He feels more like himself. It just feels, I guess, not as likely because he's going to be going through the gauntlet of this season, and then they got Olympics, and it's just so much hockey, boys.
Yeah, it just feels like he's deferring a bit. And I think my mistake personally is I try to compare this guy to some of the best in the planet, like namely Nathan McKinnon, who I think is the horniest player in the NHL. Like the guy just froths when he plays hockey. And Matthew's just a different DNA, different setup. Curious to get your opinion, Biz, on this Berube Nylander relationship. So he puts him on the third line, but again, he responds. I thought Nylander was great last night.
Yeah, I don't think he gets rattled by any of this stuff. Like if he had a fuck you match with Berube, I think like the next day he'd be like laughing with him and like hitting his shin pads at practice. Like some guys are just like that. And also like some guys don't mind getting called out and getting pee-pee whacked more often than not. And I think that, he's a guy where it's like his high end is so good where some nights, like right from puck drop, he's ready to go. And you're like, okay, Willie's got it tonight. And other nights you're like, where has he been for the last two periods? And then all of a sudden he'll turn it on. So he could be frustrating in that regard. But at the end of the day, like he's done the most damage for them probably all season long as far as like consistency and who's been their best player. Maybe you could throw JT in there. Maybe not like, maybe not as many points, but definitely bringing like an all-around effort and helping out in other areas. So, I mean, I'm okay with the dynamic because every time that Chief gets asked about it, he like has this like grin on his face and when he's being asked. So it's all good and he has a smirk about him and you could tell he loves Willie. And you ain't going anywhere if you don't have Willie going. So he better like him.
And I know there's a sour taste in the mouth after last night's game, whatever, but they've got points in the last 6 games straight. And that is a far cry from the shit we were watching to start the season. Aside from last night, whatever, do you think this team has actually turned a corner? Like, have they figured their shit out? Are they done with that garbage play? And what's your level of like belief in this team to ultimately the goal right now is to get into the playoffs? But I mean, there's a lot of runway left, 50 games. Do you believe that this team and this group is going to climb out of this and, maybe even challenge for the Atlantic, or do you think they're a ways away?
Okay, so like going back to Matthews, I do feel like they got to find one more guy that he can play with consistently. Like everyone keeps bringing up the Marner thing. Like he ain't here anymore. Like what's going to be your solution long-term on his wing? And then I feel like the third line, like we talked about, has alleviated a lot of like that pressure because like Dakota Joshua was not looking good at the start of the year. He got kind of the call out and the healthy scratch that he needed. Now he looks a lot more like he did 2 years ago. So, like I said, if it's all about timing. If they keep up this till the end of the season, I don't even care if they get a wild card going into playoffs. If goaltending's clicking, if their back end is healthy with Tanev and Carlo, and they're they're that 6-man group with, I'm assuming, I'm drawing a blank on the Troy Stetcher with him as your sixth guy. Like I really like them healthy with Troy Stetcher as your sixth guy. Like I feel like that's a big, a solid backhand. Are we still missing our high-end puck-moving power play D-men like a Quinn Hughes or a Rasmus Dahlin? Absolutely. But if they get the goaltending, they got their D healthy and solid, and they got that third line playing that way, and maybe a solution for Matthews' right side, I really feel that this is a team that could surprise people. Just get into playoffs, worry about peaking at the right time, and we could even have a better result than they did last year. I feel like last year, if we look back after like this whole this whole window being closed, so to speak, if that was like the peak and that was the high end, yeah, I could see that and I can understand. But to completely wave the white flag like this is over, absolutely not. They still have a very good team if they can all put it together and figure things out. And the East, I know Florida, when they get healthy, they're for sure the top dog. But outside of that, if Leafs are clicking on all cylinders, no one like scares me here. No one, does anyone scare you guys in the East outside of Florida if they're healthy and clicking on all cylinders?
I think they could still win the Atlantic right now. Like nobody's
Yeah.
who's going to win the Atlantic? I have no fucking idea. But
That's
like
what I'm saying.
and another thing is like for 10 years, this team has been like the core four, and it's like, okay, great, you got some fancy superstars, but you get into playoff series and they have nothing in the bottom six. Like you can only play those guys so many minutes. A team's going to pick you apart over 7 games and expose that lack of depth and playoff mentality. And they've gone nowhere to speak of. Recently with this 6-game stretch, the bottom 6 has been like, that's the way Tree Living built this team, in my opinion. Like we need some dogs who can chip in and do all the things that we haven't been able to do. How much belief does that give you that the recent play of the bottom 6, I mean, the emergence like Waugh, Joshua, and McMahon, that line's been gross. Scotty Lawton has been, he carries the bottom 6 a lot of the nights. Like, how far could this team go if they get healthy and they have a team that's actually built that way?
Well, you could definitely see a difference when Lawton got healthy and came back. I feel like he provides not only a lot to inside the locker room with how loose he keeps things and just an absolute glue guy, but he just like he's got this swagger to him that really helps out the middle of their ice, which I love. And going back to what you said, like the bottom 6, if they're going the way they've been going, not the issue, right? And I think that even like if you go back to last year's playoffs, right? Like, did Mitch Marner do anything against Ottawa where you were blown away, where they're like, oh, they need that guy heading into this year's playoffs? No, I thought he was solid. I thought he made some great plays. He was very opportunistic, had a solid start to that series against Florida, but as the going got tough, it's like, that's not something where I'm like, oh man, they really need that heading into this year's playoffs, where it's just like, solve that problem on the right side next to Matthews. Get, if we keep seeing what we've seen from that middle to bottom 6, good. And if the D are playing up to their capabilities with our solid goaltending, buddy, I'm telling you, this team can figure things out and go on a run. So I'm not really concerned right now. I'm not going to hit the panic button. It feels like, I don't know, like at least for like Leafs Talk Radio, it felt like people were ready to fucking start the rebuild and like maybe trade Matthews at a high. Like it was getting a little nutty there for the first 20 games. I'm not there. I think they can right the ship as they've done over the last 6 games. And I don't care if they end up getting the 8th seed and go against Florida in the first round, if that was what ends up happening, or Tampa Bay. Like, it's like, you're going to have to go through all these difficult series anyway. Just get healthy, get playing well, and figure things out.
Biz, this is why I brought you on. You got the fucking passion. I'll go through a wall for you right now, but I want to pump your former teammates' boots a bit. Oliver Ekman-Larsson gets hurt last night, but it sounds like it's not as bad as we thought. What was it like to play with, though, and how impressed have you been with sort of the way he's evolved his game the last couple of years?
Yeah, so when I played with when he first came in, like, he was such a raw talent, incredible. We had really good veteran D on the back end in Arizona. So it was like the guys like Adrian Aucoin, Derek Morris, Radoslav Klesla, Roosevelt was there. So, and then we had him and Jans as our offensive defenseman. Jans is a little bit older and a little bit more responsible with the power play. So it freed up where he just had to worry about 5-on-5 and then providing that like secondary offense from the back end, in which eventually they ended up obviously moving on from Jans, and he stepped in and he had back-to-back 20-goal years. I believe maybe even one of those years Jans was there when he had the 20, but I saw that high-flying offense, guy carrying the puck up the ice, and then when Talk came in and signed that big contract, he kind of hit a wall and then ended up going on to Vancouver and kind of lost all confidence. And it was hard to see, right? Because he was a shell of what I saw from that 20 goal man, and just a guy who was like hard to play against, good one-on-ones, always, not killing guys, but closing guys off on the back, like in his own end below the goal line, allowing his center to come through for support. Always had a great stick, good on gaps. And I just feel like finally getting out of the noise of getting out of Vancouver and going to Florida, it just kind of rebooted him. And that's kind of the defenseman I'm seeing now, is the defenseman of the past. And now that he has a little less responsibility offensively than he did when I played in Arizona, I feel like he can focus more on playing defense and playing a little bit more with that chip on his shoulder that you saw him develop in Florida. So it's a fine line between like putting him in the right situations. And I like him on the power play as that guy to walk the line. I actually wish he would shoot it a little bit more. I think that to solve a power play sometimes, to establish that threat up top, and I'm not even saying it's a big slap shot all the time, but like those walking the line, finding the lane and getting it off your stick, those little sifter shots. I think if they maybe simplify and go back to that, they can open things up. And I think that he can really contribute to that aspect of their game. But I'm happy with where he's at. I think that he's really good in that, 19 to 20 minute range. Maybe when he gets in the 20, 23, 24 minute range, sometimes he can get a little bit exposed, as most guys do when they're playing that much. But I'm just happy that he's back with Tree Living, who he was with in Arizona, who loved him, and he's flourishing and thriving again. And he's also not making $8.5 million, where everyone's like, that's all they want to talk about, is he's making too much money for what he does. So that's the O that I know, and I'm starting to see more of them. And I hope I gave you guys a good enough breakdown of what Oliver Ekman-Larsson is.
Hmm. And you mentioned before too, like solving that problem of playing with Matthews, and that goes back to the summertime. Like we're a top 6 forward away from being complete, and I just don't see this team going the distance with Max Domi on the top line. But our shelves are empty, prospects, draft picks, we're depleted. But you start to look at the goaltending position and the emergence of Hildeby and how great he's been. Does your mind start to wander towards maybe we could make a move at goaltending position, as there's a lot of teams licking their chops there, and that could maybe facilitate that problem in the top 6?
Buddy, you nailed it. Like if they do want to go make a big splash, I think they can probably say goodbye to one of them. I think that they've been smart about at least waiting till now. But then who do you guys move? Like Wall when he's healthy, which is rare for a long stretch of time, but his high end game is like, it's world class, right? So it always leaves you wanting more. And you also don't want to all of a sudden move off on him, and then now all of a sudden he's like, oh, he's healthy and he figured things out. Hildeby is a guy that I trust, obviously huge in size, and over time, maybe could, if it's all about calming things down. It's like being in the rocking chair, kind of like the Carey Price style, where you're just kind of like a Hellebuck, just like good with your movement. So if you had Hildeby and Stolars as your 1-2, and you were able to move on from Wall and get that good return for a big top 6, but I get what you're saying. Like, I'm a big Domi guy. I think he provides that spice for you come playoff time, where I like him in that middle 6 where he can bounce around there. And hey, if you need him for a plug and play for a game or two, he can make some plays for Matthews. Like, he's not intimidated by playing on his line, but when he has to play in that top line role for a 15, 20 game stretch, if it's ever even that, that's when it's just hard, man. Like, you can't put a guy who's not that in that situation and expect him to thrive and have that consistency in that position. But I also think that Max Domi's playmaking is a little bit underrated. Like, he can make some of those little saucer passes. He did play that game in junior with the London Knights. So I don't think it's a long-term solution. I love Domi and what he would provide come playoff time, and playing like a piece of shit. And he'll, he's not afraid to get his nose dirty, right? And he'll fight a guy even above his weight class. So he's a valuable piece to me at $3 million. But going back to your original comment, like, if they can somehow swap out one of these goalies at the deadline, it's a hard decision to make, not one that I would want to make. And I get if they didn't, but you have to imagine that is their biggest asset to go out the door for a quick solution, in my opinion.
Let's not forget about this Russian kid as well, Artur Akhtyamov. Nobody knows how to pronounce his name, but it sounds like he's got a bright future as well. Biz, can't thank you enough. I will say I was watching the Sandbagger this week. I felt like I was watching a Biz Nasty riot date, dude. You killed it. You got something to you. You got some jam, buddy. You got it going on a bit.
What do you mean, on my golf swing?
Yeah, exactly, on your golf swing. No, I just
what are you referring to?
The day overall. No, I think it was a good day it was a good approach to the day overall, man. You did well.
Buddy, we had a blast. Like Paige she's like one of the boys, man. It was a good, great sandbagger. Like it was Jans and Witt. Those guys can just shit on me for days, right? It's such a good dynamic. So I'm just grateful that those guys keep me honest, and that Paige, being the superstar that she is, was kind enough to join us. It was wild seeing all the guys at the golf course just stare at her and follow around with carts and have the rangefinders out staring at her. So it was a wild experience. And I appreciate that.
That piss bomb story was something else. Like you explaining what a piss bomb is to just an absolute rocket, I thought was hilarious.
Rosie, did you ever do a piss bomb?
I saw it. It was in summer hockey. This guy that was way older than me, and I swear his foreskin was the size of a balloon, and it hit the roof when he let her buck. And I was young, and I was like, I've never seen anything like that. It's a genius move when you think about it. And Paige, like probably not coming from that world, she handled that like she's fucking cool, man. She laughed, and you didn't throw her off at all, man. That was fun to watch, man. You guys do a great job.
She can hang with the boys anytime. Exactly. Boy, I appreciate you guys. Sorry, I was a little squirrely. I got a video here that's in real time, and then this one's a little off. So I'm kind of seeing myself talk like a few seconds behind. I feel like an idiot here.
Oh, you got to manage those cookies, man.
Yeah. What do you mean, manage the cookies? The weed cookies?
Jesus, you've been in this business a while. I cleared them cookies on that laptop, Biz.
Yeah. I got all my page internet content open here. I got to close it up, eh?
Page Spearnack, fucking extra windows open.
Holy shit, Biz. You're an absolute weapon, man. Can't thank you enough. Dude. And you got me fired up, man. I will say this 30-minute interview. I don't know how I was feeling about this team. I feel way better right now.
Well, what would you rather be in first place, no issues? Like that's not the reality.
Exactly.
It's get into playoffs. That's it. Get into playoffs, and it's a chip in a chair, boys.
There you
Love you, man. Take care. Okay.
Biz. Love you, boys. See ya.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.